When I turned around, within 1 second was a police vehicle facing me. My handlebar scratched the police door. Whole motorbike flew over the police vehicle. Before my bike flew, I flew. Before I flew, my helmet flew off my head. My left nostril was torn off. My two bones slided and shortened by 1.5 inches. The brain surgeon told me that I had only 0.1% chance to survive. They see my smashed up face and look at me with disdain. My mom couldn't answer me, she crumbled into tears. It was only 3 months after that I learned that my dad died because of me. At that point of time, suicide thought was on my mind.
In front of pain, we are stripped down and we all cry the same tears. Did you cry when you found out that your girlfriend married your best friend? Going through heartbreak, any advice? Fear of failure and judgment. Imagine being at the prime of your life, having clinched a coveted job out of 7,000 applicants, one that you work very hard for, you're about to get married and everything is well. In a blink of an eye, you lose everything. You lose your memory, your face, your girlfriend, and your job. How would you react? Today's guest, Takalah, lived through it all. On May 24th, 1994, he met with a horrific accident where his motorcycle collided with a police car. He was flung 70 meters away. He landed on his face. It shattered. He suffered horrifying injuries throughout, lost his eyesight in one eye, lost his sense of smell, and lost his memory. He was given a very low chance of surviving, but he lived through it. Unfortunately though, because his dad was so preoccupied with his injury, he did not take a heart surgery and he passed away shortly after. On top of that, your girlfriend eventually married your best friend. He could have reacted, blamed the world, grow bitter and cold and be resentful. Instead, he decided to take full accountability and put radical and relentless focus on what he can control and let go of what he can't. Right? In the next year, he recovered, ran a full marathon, went back to become a teacher, speaks without pauses, focused on learning again, and most strikingly lives with zero resentment and unyielding purpose. Today, I have the privilege to speak to Mr. Takalah Tan. Nice to meet you once again on this podcast.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I was nervous during the introduction
Right.
because I wanted to do justice to you and your story. We have worked together for several years, giving talks in schools. You're always very inspiring. And I think today we want to talk about your journey, obviously, the emotions that you went through during that period, how you overcame it, and also I put a special focus on overcoming fear and struggle. Common kind of fears that people face: judgment, criticism, fear of failure, heartbreak. Right, let's get into it. Before the accident, describe how you were growing up.
When I was young, I was born asthmatic, so I was thin and frail, and I felt very weak and I felt lots of unfairness. How come my brothers are fit running around whereas I'm skinny and always having panting issues? And so at that point of time, I felt very inferior. But what happened was, I did not allow that to cause me to stumble. Given them playing all about, what I did was I borrowed books from a library and I read profusely. And that allowed me to broaden my perspective, put my time to good use. So if I cannot become physically very fit, I become mentally knowledgeable and more analytical and understanding situations, and hence being able to formulate solutions more proactively.
You excelled in school.
Yes,
Eventually in the army as well.
I cannot run fast, but I pick up the ability to do endurance sport. I didn't go to become a bodybuilder. What I did was that I kept myself slim and I go for endurance activities. I'm able to progressively become elite in some skills. For example, like I did the cross-country run. And for swimming, I cannot compete to be fast, but I go for endurance. I participated in the...
Water polo?
No, not water polo, but the 1,000 meter swim, the long distance swim. So it's about recognizing what I can do well and I work hard at it.
You were resilient as a kid already.
Sure. When I go to school, I try to refine myself and participate in the CCA to the best I can. We call it EC at that point of time. I joined the Boy Scouts, and with assistance from SJI and Chinese High, I was able to progressively improve. And when I took the President Scout Award, I'm able to, at the third try, complete the expedition and pass all the assessment. And I managed to clinch the President Scout Award. Coming from a new school, Presbyterian High.
It's a prestigious award, right?
Yes. I got to go to the Istana and receive the award from President Wee Kim Wee.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You also excelled in the army, became a commando officer.
Yes, even though I have asthma when young, I grew out of it, and in commando, it's about being able to connect very well with a team. I work hard and I was selected for officer cadet school. So I went to OCS and I came in top 5%. I got a SWAT, not the SWAT of honor, but a SWAT top 10%, and I managed to become a LERP commander in commando. That means that long range reconnaissance patrol, I'll be in charge of a team of people to send them into enemy territory before the army go in. It's a great sacrifice. In Vietnam War, only 5% live to go back home. And I do not go there. I send my men there to the front line. And my men told me, don't worry, sir. When the time comes, we will go. Because we know our wife and our children are in good hands.
Takes a lot of intellect.
Duty, honor, country.
And all this is in hindsight, right?
Yes.
You don't really remember it, but you learned it from friends and reading. We'll go into that eventually. But before that, you also did very well in university.
Yes.
You designed things, right?
Yes. I participated in competition and built a hydraulic wheelchair to help semi-lateral paralyzed people be able to stand and sit. And actually, I did a project to help test the strength of concrete. From a standard deviation of 20%, I reduced it to 1% by measuring velocity of flying bullet impact into concrete column, and then we do a brake column test. And from there, we are able to calibrate a chart that engineers can use to assess the strength of concrete. This makes it more accurate. And I actually even tested the bomb shelter air ventilation system in Bishan to ascertain it can support the capacity of life. This is a group project. But what I did together with my group members are of national interest. And that's why I feel honored to have done all these things.
Wow. You're at the prime of your life. You also had a girlfriend at the time. You're in love with her. You want to get married with her.
Certainly.
And that's where you beat 7,000 people as well to get a job. Now we can transition into that pivotal moment, 24th May 1994. You met with a horrific accident.
Yes.
Can you share more?
When I entered the expressway after I alighted my girlfriend, I kissed her goodnight. I was so happy because it is just 1 week before I start work in Procter & Gamble. And at that point of time, I was sky high in my mood and temperament. I entered the expressway, checked behind, saw no vehicle coming at 11 p.m. I cut to my right lane diagonally straight away. When I turned around, within 1 second, was a police vehicle facing me on the third lane, on lane 1. That resulted in me having to veer as much as I can between the metal railing and the police vehicle. My handlebar scratched the police door. That resulted in my front wheel turning at 100 km per hour, causing it to break and become a pivotal point. My whole motorbike flew over the police vehicle and broke. Before my bike flew, I flew. Before I flew, my helmet flew off my head. And from what the doctor told me, it saved my life. The fracture of my face, ironically, saved my life. No doubt my three of my wrists broke and punctured my lung. My facial fragmentation allowed the discharge of kinetic momentum. Hence, my head didn't rebound to break my neck, snap off, or break my spine and cause full body paralysis. The leakage of my brain water gave my brain pressure at sea level. This allowed my blood to leak in my brain. I say leak in my brain because I got broken vessel in the brain that kept leaking, but supplied my CPU, my thinking portion, with oxygen. Hence, I retained my cognitive deduction ability. This is why after my accident, I could ask questions. Why? Who? What? Where? When? And this pondering allowed me to navigate in this new unknown domain more carefully, strutting every step, cautious of all around me.
But your nose was on the ground.
My left nostril was torn off. And to save my life, Civil Defense ambulance arrived in 5 minutes. Thanks to the police vehicle, they called them and they came straight away from Bukit Batok dispatch point. They did not bother to look for my nostril because life detention is of utmost importance. So they rushed me straight away into the ambulance and brought me to NUH.
In the hospital, you obviously cannot remember anything, but walk me through what was it that was happening.
When I got in the hospital, what they did was kind of abandon my broken right shin. My tibia and fibula broke, and it was not a perpendicular fracture, it was a diagonal fracture. And so, being diagonal, when it cut into the flesh, the muscle will swell. This resulted in swelling sideways and shortening in length. So, my two bones slided and shortened by 1.5 inches. That resulted in their fusion because to save my brain, they actually have to wrap my leg up so that it will not interfere with the life-saving process.
It's a very complicated
In the
procedure.
2 weeks that I stayed in ICU, They actually had to open up my skull 7 times to remove the blood clot after pouring out, exhausting the brain surrounding of fluid. And they actually pour in fluid before they kept it up. So my mom and dad were helplessly ignorant. So they saw me within 2 weeks rush in and out of the ICU to surgical theatre 7 times. It's like my life was on the edge. The brain surgeon told me that I had only 0.1% chance to survive. That is 1 out of 1,000 chance, and that is really, really small. Can you imagine? I was living on the edge. And blessed I am, I made it.
The surgeon saved your life.
Surgeon, as well as his team, and my family, and my friends. Because when I was in ICU, my friends came, queue up to see me. Only 2 persons can go in at one time. I had a long queue. I was like a star. I have lots of fans. And it could be these conversations that they had with me that gave me the subconscious willpower to press on.
Wow, amazing. You woke up eventually how many weeks after?
2 weeks. 2 weeks after my accident, I woke up. And when I woke up, I know nothing. I don't recognize people. I don't recognize relationship. I cannot remember any events that we had. Imagine, just before the accident, I did the 8,000 meter free fall parachuting in Australia. It was totally erased from my mind. Looking at the photograph later, I could not even remember having done such an activity. I did the bungee jump. I totally cannot remember.
Yeah.
And also relationship, I cannot recall.
How does that feel like?
I felt empty. I felt like an alien. I felt like an outsider. Therefore, to learn to integrate was not easy. I have to learn the who, what, where, when, why, and move every step carefully. What I was hoping for is to have a very understanding environment, but due to ignorance, that was not easy to find. People look at me with judgment. They see my smashed up face and look at me with disdain. It was really hurtful, but I had to learn to calm myself down because I know they are ignorant. I cannot allow what they do to cause me harm. So I learned to take feedback wisely.
How does one do that? Because you lost quote unquote everything in that moment. You couldn't remember your girlfriend as well. Your dad also eventually passed.
Yeah.
You know, and could you, because I cannot possibly, no one can possibly imagine this, but I'm just trying to help audience empathize. The fact that they are a blank slate now. Blank slate, how does one slowly recollect? Does it come back to you one by one as you read things?
It doesn't come back. What I read is what I learned from the diary, what I learned from the photographs, but there is no emotion, there's no recollection. For example, myself and my scouts in the Presbyterian High School, I do not remember the association I had with my cohort. I do not recall any episode of interaction. That's why I'm like a blank slate, only seeing from a third party perspective.
Like a baby.
Third party. So it's like I am like looking at Tan Kok Liang from a third party perspective. And that itself
is scary.
Is quite scary. Yeah, it's quite scary. When you are not yourself anymore. So I actually had to elevate my perspective. I imagine myself standing on top of Kinabalu, looking down, understanding the who, what, where, when, why, and start to plan my navigation. I found a poem I wrote when I was in secondary school that inspired me to live on. Can I recite this poem?
We will keep the audience in suspense a little bit. Because I'll get there eventually. There's the triumph, but I want to talk a bit more about the struggle because your
my dad, he loved me so much. Once he heard the accident, my mom was on received a call from the police. She collapsed and cried at the dining table. Why must it be my son? And my dad, who was watching the news, and upon hearing that I met the accident, he collapsed on a chair with his arms in the air. Why must it be my son and not other people's son who meet this accident? At that point of time, when my mom told me, I was quite stunned. I thought, Dad loves me so much? He cares, but I didn't know. So I wronged him. I felt ashamed. And at that point of time, my mom, she told me about how my accident resulted in my dad calling off his heart bypass surgery. Can you imagine? My mom lost her beloved husband because of her beloved son. So then my mom is having a lot of challenge within herself, a trauma. How do you love this child who caused your beloved husband to die?
He passed away from a heart attack.
Yeah, my dad died of a heart attack in the home during his sleep, 3 months after my accident. He called off his heart bypass surgery. and visited me very often in the hospital. At the 3rd month of my accident, he died in his sleep. So 1 week before I discharged from the hospital, my family brought me to his funeral. At the funeral, I asked my mom, "Mom, where is Daddy? Why is brother carrying Daddy's photograph?" My mom couldn't answer me. She crumbled into tears. It was only 3 months after that I learned that my dad died because of me. I felt guilty.
The concept of a father came back to you already.
Yeah, I felt guilty and I felt like giving up my life. I felt not worthy that my dad had to pay my debts for with his life. At that point of time, suicide thought was on my mind. I attended a course later. It's called Asia Works. And they actually placed us in a room. They dimmed the light. They told us to look up. Think about those times when you hurt the people who love you so. I looked up and I saw my beloved father looking at me, telling me, "Son, don't worry, I'm somewhere safe. My wish is that you can stand up again, become independent, and help me look after my beloved wife, your mother." When upon feeling a thought, I crumbled into tears. I cried. And I felt so small. A 28-year-old person crying with people around. Then they told us, "Open your eyes." I opened my eyes and I looked around. Even managing director also crying. Oh my God. So it's okay to cry. It's okay to let out your feelings. It's about moving on, conquering odds, and still living life for a good purpose. That matters. That's why God joining this workshop gave me vision.
That's powerful. Thanks for sharing. Humans are humans. No matter what position we have, in front of struggle, in front of pain, we are stripped down. Yeah. And we all cry the same tears. Did you cry when you found out that your girlfriend married your best friend?
I did not cry. I was confused, and I asked, should I be a loving person? Perhaps our association was meant to be only for a period, and after that, we need to move on in life. For myself, post-trauma, I lost my memory. What I needed was a case managing trail to help me to regain knowledge, to regain the ability to associate people, to regain the ability to partake tasks, to execute tasks, and live life with a purpose. If I were to lie to my girlfriend that I remember the relationship just because I want to secure her, that would be very selfish of me. But that may be able to help provide me with the kind of comfort, the kind of care. But I know that the conscience in me will never allow this to happen. One day I'll break down. Hence, I abided by it, let her go. And I'm glad she's able to move on in life and get settled down and be able to be a wonderful mother. I live by this phrase: if you love someone, let her go. If they come back to you, they are yours. If not, take it that they never was.
When you first shared this with me, I broke down. I cried when you first shared this with me because I was going through something at that point of time.
I remember.
Yeah, and I still feel emotional when you're telling me this because by comparison, my struggles feel so small. I'm a bit ashamed. It's more of liberation, inspiration, that if you can let go under these circumstances, you inspire me to do the same.
Thank you. After my accident, there are moments when I ask a lot of questions. In my mind, I'm asking myself questions. Sometimes I can belittle myself. Sometimes I can motivate myself, inspire myself. And then I learn about the left brain and the right brain serving different functions. So it made it more tangible for me to manage my thought. So I can discuss about issues. I stand on the left side, I stand on the right side. But in the end, I have to decide what final stance do I adopt. And this is why I'm able to negotiate within self and have a lot of calm and be resolute such that I do not buckle easily.
You told me one thing I always will not forget. You said, because you lost your memory, because you lost your bias, you became more wise. That was very profound. And I think that mindset helped you recover.
In Australia, when I went to study about brain injury in Australia, La Trobe University, I got to visit my classmate's house. My classmate, she is in the medical field. Her husband is actually a nuclear professional. And their house is so clean without things to clutter it up. And their daughter, at the age of 4, can discuss with me about social issues. I I felt so ashamed of myself. 4-year-old, I'm in the world of my own, the mind, the I, the why. But then she's a class monitress in a nursery class. And she sees everything from a bird's eye view. She lived for the people. Exemplary.
4 years old living for the people.
Yes. I told my friend, how can you do this to your child? Why did you all program her like this?
Yeah.
My friend replied, 不是我们要的，是她自己选的。So in that sense, the girl at such a young age discovered her role in society. After my accident, what is my role? Am I working to do it to the best I can? Yes. That's why I became the lighted beacon in troubled water. When I went to Bras Basah to buy the dictionary from the shop, I get to walk past Peace Center and saw an Indian gentleman squatting on a stool with posters behind his back. I learned that each poster costs $1.50, affordable. So nothing better to do. I went to look at them. One of them caught my eye. It's a picture of a lonely lighted beacon in the middle of a dark, stormy sea. I straight away felt emboldened. Hey, that seems to be me, seemingly insignificant, but it can save lives. Because this beacon warns ship of shallow waters. When ship come this way, they're going to capsize because they don't have depth sensor at that point of time. So, looking at the picture, I could capture its meaning. That means my cognitive deduction ability was working fine. Hence, it is an asset that I can use to navigate in this rigorous, unknown new terrain that I'm thrown into.
Share with us the poem.
When I was in Sec 4, I love to take risks. In scouting, I do a lot of risky events or tasks. I wrote this. Against the wind, older but no wiser, I still find myself inextricably, unavoidably running against the wind, whilst it could have been easier, rowing with the tide. Something within me beckons, do it otherwise. Defying instincts, rejecting the norms, living my life on its edge. I refuse to conform. Perhaps one day, just one fine day, when my time is done, laid down to oblivion, my life have just begun. Can you imagine when I was contemplating on suicide? I planned to jump down from 9th story. I didn't want to burden my family. I planned to carry ailerons on my hand, plates on my hand, so that I can create pressure differential. Del V will give you del P. Del P over surface will give you force. I can conceptualize on the increasing of certainty of death. Yet, I found this poem in my cabinet. I sat upright. I told myself, it's not time to go. I've got the task on hand. As I browsed through my belongings, I found another poem written when I was in JC1, in NJC. Was it a nightmare? Or was it reality? I asked myself. I entered half conscious what was happening, gradually opening my eyes to sense and to react. It was at first like Eden roses on the summit of Olympia, the very pinnacle of mankind. But the thorns hurt not just me, but all whom embraces it. My mind still burns with sad memory. Until death will they part. But stand up I will, because upon me is bestowed the role not many can partake, and this I know I will do to my very last breath. That is why I became the president of Brain Injury Society. That is why I became a teacher. That's why I became a public speaker. And that's why I talk to everybody around me whom I have the opportunity to share my experience on the MRT almost every day.
That's how I came to know you, by the way.
Yeah.
A guy spoke to you. At the point of time, Twitter, you used Twitter at that time. You went viral. The story went viral. Mothership covered you. Just 2019, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's where I first knew about your story.
It only takes a spark to get the fire going.
Speaking of fire, you ran a marathon as well.
Yes. After my accident, I was introduced to be used as a specimen for them to teach students how to use a Russian technique to elongate my leg. This technique was designed in the 1970s. Why? Because Russia is a post-war area. Farmers step on mines that were not cleared and their legs get blown and shortened in length. That resulted in them having to design a technique to elongate their leg without amputating their leg. Just by internal amputation of tibia and fibula, they were able to help their survivor improve in their mobility so they can carry on farming. NUH actually used me as a specimen to teach our local medicine student from NUS, medicine faculty, how to use this technique. I have to pay for the whole surgery, more than $10,000.
Yep.
But I felt honored that students get to learn from me being used as a specimen. Yeah, I had the epidural jab in my spine to make my lower half no feeling, and they did the amputation with me conscious. So exciting.
And you still ran after that?
Yes, the elongation took 3 months. 1.5 months to get back the length, another 1.5 months to allow the bone to develop in between the gap to fuse the bone.
Okay.
So after that, they remove it. I started walking avidly. I started running. And within less than a year, I completed a full marathon.
It's crazy.
Within 8 hours. It is not just rigor. It's not just
less
gara.
than a year after the accident.
Yes.
Where your body was destroyed.
No, not my body was destroyed. Less than a year after my leg was amputated internally and elongated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, it's an amazing feat.
It's
Amazing
about
feat.
mine. I started the marathon with only 3 training. I only had 3 training sessions before the marathon day.
Yeah.
And when I started the marathon, I looked around for potential buddy. So I'm being mindful. I saw a senior gentleman wearing a new attire. He looked very inexperienced. I proposed to him, how about we be buddies? He said, okay. And so we ran together, we each taking turn to be in front.
Yeah.
And when we come to the drink station, we even joke with the girls to serve us drink. But as we arrived at the last half a kilometer, he told me, Takalah, I think I can do the rest on my own. I said, by all means. So he ran ahead in front of me. He completed a run about 2 minutes in front of me. But I know that if I didn't have him, I may not have completed the run within 8 hours. So we finished the run.
So you're not upset?
I'm not upset. It's about win-win.
But he left it.
He did a few minutes in front of me.
Okay. Why would he do that though? I'm curious.
He want to make his time. For him, a man like him, around 60 years of age,
Sure.
Yeah, he doesn't have many more runs to go.
Okay.
So his
Makes
victory is my pleasure.
Makes sense. I love that. I love that. The fact that you can take
It's a
such a bird's eye
win-win.
point
For
of view.
me, I'm able to complete a full marathon within a year after amputation of my TBF fibula. And for him, at the age of 60, finally he can complete a marathon within 8 hours. So I think it's about being able to stand in the shoes of the beholder.
2 more questions. Okay.
Sure.
Shoes of the beholder, I will tease you off for later and link it back because it's a powerful story there later. But 2 more questions before we transition into the final part, which is on fears. Second last question is, as a teacher, right? You didn't just train your body, you train your intellect as well.
Sure.
Just briefly share about your experience in teaching, what are the lessons that you learned there.
That time when I was working for my brother, can you imagine my brother came back from Australia? I say a bit more.
Yeah.
He actually did not go and look for a job. He graduated as a mechanical engineer from QUT. He actually bought over a courier dispatch company from his friend to employ me so that he can mentor me. Can you imagine I was working in Reuters News Agency, earning about $1,000 a month, and now my brother, he wants to employ me. My take-home pay was only around $400. Why?
400 at the time.
400 plus. Why? Because he gave me a $600 salary and he applied for me CPF. That allowed me to have the opportunity to buy flat from HDB. That's why I'm able to use my mother's name to buy flat. If I were to get more pay but no CPF, then I will not be able to apply, I believe.
Okay.
So in that sense, earning less, but my brother gave me a platform to learn, to do diverse tasks.
Okay.
And I actually get to master the use of Excel for invoicing, for salary statement, for banking, etc. So I get to communicate with clients to take order, take assignment, consignment, and designate it to my dispatch rider and check on their performance, their completion of tasks. And I get to have more time on my own in the middle of the month when it's a low activity period for the company. That means the middle of the month, I can leave my work early to join Toastmasters Club to learn how to talk. So I joined Thompson Toastmasters Club. So it's about seeing what's available and using it well.
No excuses.
That's why I'm able to improve and become a good public speaker. Yeah.
And then that became teaching.
Yes, I became a teacher 6 years after my accident. And because what happened was that my cousin joined in the business and he brought his wife along. And so they have enough manpower in my workplace. My younger brother told me, brother, now you can go and do what you want. What do you want to do? I want to teach. I like to mingle with children. I want to be their lighted beacon. I want to let them become able to navigate in their own life constructively. as a useful entity in society. At that point of time, MOE wanted to recruit people with working experience to come into the teaching arena. And so they advertised, they publicized about it. I applied. So I got to go for the interview, and I would say the Victoria principal was very, very discerning. And when he understood about my brain injury, he had to ask a lot of questions. Upon being interrogated on so many matters, I felt, wow, not much chance. But to my surprise, I received a letter saying that you have been accepted. And when I went to NIE to go through a training, they were not at all judgmental about my memory retention deficit. They liked my interest, my passion in articulating my thoughts. And they nurtured me such that I can become a good teacher. And in school, when I went to teach at Evergreen, I was given a chance to teach the normal tech student. Rather than think that, oh, I'm teaching the weakest lot, that means not much potential for me to progress, I became a nanny. I treated the children like my own children. And when they hurt me, I can cry to show them that what you do matters so much to me. End up, I can sing and dance in class, I can enrapture them. And when you see the whole class dancing the action dance together that we learned from Campfire, watashi wa neko noko neko noko umeme da guru 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 shitapakapi 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 shitapakapi. A cat asking, why am I born a cat? Since I'm born a cat, I'll be a good one. Wow, you can see they live their student years with dignity and pride, even though they are in normal tech. Can you imagine? In the school, the ruffians did not come from the normal tech classes. It came from the lower rung or express classes. That gives me pride and honor that I nurtured them well. I helped them to develop responsibility for the class or community.
They still remember you? I'm sure they do.
They do. After I resigned from teaching, after I finished my teaching bond, I flew to Australia to study about brain injury. When I came back, my student called me, Mr. Takalah, guess what? Now I'm working in a hospital serving patients. Oh, my heart melted. He didn't say that now I'm earning big bucks working for a big firm, but that he's in hospital working with clients who are needing his help, patients. This is about being unconditional in your love. It's not what you can get out of it financially, but what you can offer to those who need. The kind helping hand, the nurturing environment, such that they can recover constructively.
Last question before we talk about fears. I'm meaning to ask you this, and I think a lot of people struggle with this. Resentment, bitterness. You have every reason to be resentful at life and God and your past partner. How do you let go of that resentment? I
logically question myself, will this resentment solve the problem? Many a times, no. It's going to make the things worse. So how can I not resent? Imagine, less than a year after my accident, I was still in a disabled state, mentally, emotionally. My brothers and my mom reprimanded me at 11 p.m. that night. 3 of them scolded me. We told you so many times why you won't listen to us. Why are you still doing it? Imagine, what I do is that logically, rationally, I brush my teeth after breakfast. I gargle my mouth. When I wake up, I go and have breakfast and I brush my teeth after. But they say, no, you must brush your teeth before you have breakfast. I said, you never use your logic. So I allow them to rattle, bombard me, use their machine gun or feedback. What did I choose to do that night? I smiled at each of them. After I smiled at them, I didn't say a single word. I went to the main door, went out for 2-kilometer walk with my leg not yet lengthened. So I hobbled about Ang-Mo-Kio Avenue 10 area, and I came back half an hour later. When I came back, my younger brother came up to me and said, brother, sorry for what we did. Guess what? When you left the house, each of us were in shock. We went to our respective recluse, reflected, and regretted our wrong actions. That day, I won the battle without saying a single word. In Chinese, 不动则动，动则不动. Can you imagine my Chinese got F9, but this word came out to my mind? I failed my Mandarin, but the poem I wrote that gave me the inspiration to live on, I made it a point to translate it to Mandarin. Can I read?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love how you're jumping from one point to the other, Takalah.
Okay.
So resentment and then your passion for language and resilience. You finish this point first. So you logically you let go.
Yeah.
You let go because there's no profitability in resentment.
Yes. I know the harmfulness of holding resentment, not just to the relationship, but also to my own emotion and psychology. And it may become embedded in me as something like a permanent burden.
Like a poison
That's why.
that infects you. But the thing is, people know. Like, I think if you ask anywhere on the street logically, they will say that resentment is bad for you, right?
Yeah.
It's like holding a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at somebody else.
That's
when
why
you
I
are the
need
ones
to be
being
rid
burnt.
of it.
Because people logically can understand that, but emotionally they cannot let go of it.
I learned to take deep breath, sigh,
Right.
and let it out. And then I detach from the I to see from the we. To understand the who, what, where, and why, how the I can damage the whole situation by doing the self-centered, narrow-minded actions. So I see from a bird's eye view, understand the who, what, where, and why, and I ask, what is my intention? What's my goal? Is it conceit? Is it self-centered? It must not be. It must be embracing all the existential entities and moving towards the betterment of the outcome.
I love it.
That's why. So can I read my Mandarin poem?
You read my mind. You can. Please go ahead.
年龄也大了，可思想未成年，贝尔发现自己无法避免度过一生逆风而行的命，不知何为，总是以反浪潮、反本能的方式，反纵机智的思想与行为，徘徊在生与死的边缘。就当我倒塌在一个失去所有的境界里，贝尔在死亡之中得到了新生，逐渐的爬了起来，开始勇往一条新的生命旅途啊！
You got F9 for Chinese.
Yeah. No, I retake my O level when I went to NJC. Liu 老师, they placed me under a charge. He used Hanyu Pinyin to teach us.
Great.
That's why at home I sang the Hanyu Pinyin song. 波婆摩佛达他那了各可合及其息，自此时日之之时，与我唱完了。
After your accident,
Yes.
you Chinese improve.
Yes.
I don't think anybody has an excuse.
I joined the Mandarin Toastmasters Club and I do the recitation of this Hanyu Pinyin. Plus, I even add in the Japanese. 阿姨有诶哦，妈咪有诶毛，哈希有诶吼，遐许许，翘屈屈，下许许，尿尿尿，喵喵喵。
Amazing. Good segue into the last segment. Okay?
Yes.
I want to talk about your resiliency and mindset. Okay? I think this is a very important segment because people will get insights from you. I'm going to go through the most common fears that people have one by one. We'll talk about it. Okay, the first one, going through heartbreak. Any advice for that?
When you go through heartbreak, it is a feedback that this person that you're with is not the right one, because you're going to meet a lot of people in life. We cannot fixate our vision that what we have is to be eternal, because this person whom you have experienced closeness with, it may be just a passing fad in life. The right one may be waiting for you in due time. It's about being able to embrace the new one, the correct one, with correct love, not the self-centered love. I want you because of myself, but I want you because I love you, I care for you, and I truly want the best for you.
And you let her go.
Yeah. You love someone, let her go. Because if my girlfriend were to stay with me, the journey ahead will be very, very treacherous. And it will be very selfish of me. I will not allow myself to commit this sin.
For those watching this snippet, Takalah met an accident that lost his memory completely, and his then girlfriend actually married his best friend, and he didn't hold any resentment.
Because my best friend is a great man. Together with me, we are both commando officers.
You were both
Duty, honor,
pursuing the
country.
same girl, right? I mean, you won.
Yeah. But then it was not meant to be because I met the accident. And so I decided it's about moving on in life.
For people that still can't, they can't let go. Like they know logically that what we're saying is true, but emotionally they just have so attached to the past memories of them. Everything that they see, memory everywhere they go is a constant reminder of their presence. How does one, let go of that longing and that void? Do they feel it with somebody else? Do they? Because I personally still struggle with this a little bit,
How I did successfully got out of rut was to adopt a third-party perspective, to look at myself from a third-party perspective. Given my condition, I look at myself. Should I cling on? Should I tell a lie? Or should I accept the truth and move on? And I'm an engineer. Engineer, we are talking about projecting possibilities based on current existential condition and partaken endeavors. I could see doomsday if I were to lie for the rest of my life. Hence, I made a clear break to move on.
Next, feelings of inadequacy. Not feeling good enough.
I have my inadequacies, but I have my adequacies. There are things I can do. I can talk. I can sing. I can bring smile to the face of elderly people. I can show my true value. I can actually synchronize them with my body action and create some kind of a tandem, and allow them to feel the kind of joy, the youthfulness, just by communicating with me. And that is an art in itself. When you can bring a smile to the face of an elderly who is burdensome, who has got lots of concerns, who have got lots of bad memories, if you're able to swipe those off their mind and let them show the smile at that moment, that smile is going to win them over. In future, they will become able to address their problem and manage it most constructively.
I love it.
So this is about being a good facilitator.
I think comparisons do help to some extent if you're in business, if you want to be inspired by other people. But comparisons are dangerous when it crosses the line into insecurity, when it causes you to try and be somebody else. And there's this phrase that says you can try your best to be someone else, but you'll always be a second-class somebody else. But if you be yourself, you'll be a first-class you. And I think what you talked about is just that. Focusing on your adequacies, focusing on what you can provide in that moment.
My left eye is blind. I had many incidents of tripping, and I cannot see things that are approaching me if I would be running. So hence, I have to make sure I run in safe areas. And after accidents in MacRitchie, I don't go MacRitchie because I'm not able to see undulation too easily. I have a two-dimension vision. It's about change. Change where you do the activity such that you can do it safely. And I go for lots of walk. From my place, I can walk all the way to the expressway and the road that is parallel to the expressway. I can see nature. I can feel calm. I can at the same time give myself challenging roles to actually allow my body to move in 3-dimension, gyration, such that there is an art even in walking.
Adaptability.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
And it's about giving yourself opportunities to try new things.
Okay.
So I can actually run and I'll sing songs. Sampe samgalua, alamina mina, samgalua, alamina mina, hey, alamina mina, hey, 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 me, wa, ba. The kind of Indian kind of dancing. And then I don't have to run normally. I have to run. I can run with my body gyrating, such that there's some rhythm, some kind of momentum. I can even do my hands spiraling when I'm running, so that I can allow my psychomotor exercise to be in sync at all time. I don't have to copy what other people do. Wow. That is a limiting factor. When you always have to run like other people the way they run, that means you're doing your body injustice.
It's a metaphor.
Correct.
Not just physically, but in everything that you do.
Correct.
You know, I love it. Next one, the fear of starting something new. I want to step out of my comfort zone. I have a dream, but I'm scared.
Nothing is easy. If you have an idea, it's about connecting with the right people who can give you some kind of tips or some kind of bipartite collaboration such that you can do it with correct feedbacks. And you can actually discuss on issues that are encountered to ascertain about the need to change direction, change plan, or change the formation. It's about being able to see elevated perspective and still move on in this collective endeavor. My younger brother, he actually bought over Courier Dispatch Company, employed me, mentored me, and when I became a teacher, he actually moved on to do import-export of electric mobile phone to do sale. That's how he's able to buy condo, buy his own car, and live well. Because looking after me was a mission he gave to himself for that 1 year or so.
Got it.
Once I left, he can move on to do what he's good at. Yeah.
So just go for it.
Yeah. And it's about knowing why you are doing things. My brother helped me. Imagine as a dispatch, own the business, he also have to wear Bermuda, ride motorbike to send documents, parcels. Graduate, no. But he did it because of love. Yes, love can move mountains. And once he sees me being able to be independent, to go into teaching, he went on to do what he truly wants.
I love this, pun intended. I think find a compelling why.
That's why I like the formula. Who, what, where, when, why means how.
Right.
Have an elevated perspective. If it's to be, it's up to me. 明天会更好，因为我努力，我肯冒险，才可以闯出个春天来。
Final one.
What?
Most common.
Yes?
Fear of failure and judgment.
If I don't fail, I cannot improve. Every mistake is a lesson learned. That's why I dare face the battle with the correct spirit, correct mindfulness, and to take feedbacks wisely. I do not use my ego to take feedback. I use my rationale because people who give me negative feedback, they may have good intentions. If I allow the devil in me to supersede my logic, that will really spoil the game. So I learn to take the feedback calm and collected. And if need be, I cry to show my despair, to show my guilt, to show my willingness to put my heart in the task. Not many people can cry. It could be because the selfishness, the I, that caused them not to cry. But when I cry, I know I'm totally devoted deep down inside to want to do my task to the best that I can.
There's a quote that I'll always remember and it's stuck on my wall. Fear is preceded by ego. There's no fear in the spirit of service.
Yeah.
A lot of the root of our fear is because of our ego. You don't want to be looked down on. You don't want people to see you in a certain way. You don't want to look dumb in front of people. I would argue that you have to look stupid. If you want to succeed, you have to be willing to fail. And creativity doesn't mean being wrong. But if you're not wrong, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you can't be creative.
Yeah. You'll never try. You'll never take the step forward. Thank you very much.
Judgment. How do we face that?
When I face judgment, I ask, why am I being judged? Are there due conditions or circumstances that require me to be judged? If that's the case, I take it wholeheartedly. I will not say bias. I will not say it is done with a lot of hatred, resentment. But it may be a task necessary. So I took it with a pinch of salt and move on. Because the judgment may decide a change in my role, something that is more constructive, more in line with my ability.
That is so mature. You filter out those
The
nonsense you take out. And
yes.
then those judgments that help you, you take it.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
That's why I can remain a good contribution to the organization that I work in. Because I take the feedback calmly.
We are winding down already. Last discussion before we wrap up. I mean to talk to you about this because I think people have gone through fierce struggle like you. Sometimes rely on a higher power. They sometimes have a God or whoever they call it up there. What is religion to you? What is spirituality to you? Did it help you in any way?
After my accident, I looked up and asked, why me? Why must it be me? I am such a good person. I'm loving to the community. I've contributed so much to the good of the community. Why me? I propose, could it be I'm chosen to partake certain important tasks that others cannot do? If that's the case, what is it? This thought lingered in me. It allowed me to look around inquisitively, passionately, to always find ways that I can contribute good. That's why I became the president of Brain Injury Society. I joined the Head Injury Support Group. I realized how lucky I am. The other brain injured people look good, but because they look good, they became vegetable. For me, the fracture of my face exhausted my neural fluid. They allow my blood to leak my brain to supply oxygen. That's why I can still Wow, this is an asset. This is an asset I must use well. That's why I can become a teacher 6 years after losing my memory. That's why I can become a president of Brain Injury Society. That's why I can organize a campfire for a brain injured. I can get a Scouts Association to provide me with manpower, so in a venue, BT Secondary School, where I can hold a campfire, and I can amass money from donors to prepare the campfire necessities, and I can make a pendant for everyone by going to the army market to buy the rope. When there is a will, there will be a way.
How is that linked to spirituality?
Spirituality is the faith that I live for a purpose. I have a task on hand to be the lighted beacon in troubled water. I'm glad MediaCorp featured my story on TV. They acted my story to motivate Singaporeans that if he can, you can too.
Wow. Final message of encouragement to people. Any message that you want to share to the audience watching as we close today's podcast?
Have faith that whatever happens can be made for the better. In all kind of disastrous dire straits, there is always the ability to improve, to change. Change is my formula in life. When I went to Australia to study, I met a Greek family. They adopted me as a godson when they saw I have got housing dilemma. They housed me and fed me for free for 2 weeks. Can you imagine this Greek man? He suffered full body paralysis when he was at the age of 40 over because he smoked too much, 6 packets a day. His wife is a diabetic, but at the age of 70, they housed and fed me for free. Even though they have to work in the restaurant to earn money to support their son's need. The son fell down at the pool, broke his spine, required medication the government do not subsidize. I experienced unconditional love from this couple, even though they have to still support their son. That was when I asked, wow, blessed I am. I can move on, and I will use these inspiring experiences to help pave the way for a better tomorrow for many other people by sharing my experience always, because I will live on rightfully to the best that I can. I will change for the better.
Let me close this podcast by saying the meaning of the word Takalah. It is a name that you gave yourself.
I created this name when I was in secondary school. My name is Tan Kok Liang.
Yeah.
So TKL are my initials. I added 3A, become Takalah, hoping A-level will do well. But Takalah by itself, doesn't sound good, so I put a H at the back. Becomes Takalah.
Takalah.
I found the pen friend calling me this name. I asked my secondary schoolmate. They told me I created it. And when I work at Reuters news agency as a temp staff, I use this name. And Reuters, they have a lot of foreign staff. Malay told me that my name means Tidak Kalah. It's a short term for Tidak Kalah. Takalah means not lose. In Japanese, Takalah, with the H changed to R, means treasure. American Red Indian, Takalah means warrior. In the Middle East, Takalah is a girl's name. In India, Takalah is the name of a herb. Takalah also means botak, bald. Yeah. So in Cantonese, Takalah means can one lah. When I learned of all this meaning, wow, I'm so grateful when the Malaysia custom cancelled my passport because my face changed. They allowed me to get a lawyer to write a deed poll, and I got the lawyer to change my name.
Thank you, Takalah.
Thank you very much, Ken.
It means a lot that you came today. I'm sure your story has inspired so many people. If you want Takalah to speak in your organization or a school, you can reach out directly to him or reach out through me. We can organize something together. I can say for a fact that everywhere he goes, people listen. They don't just listen and get inspired. And I hope today you guys have got some insights back. Follow us on other socials, Instagram and TikTok. Subscribe if you haven't, because you help us to bring more guests and keep it sustainable. Give me any feedback. Takalah, do you have socials? Do you have any social media?
Not really. You can give email, takalah@gmail.com.
Sure, email Takalah, put it in the description.
Takalah@gmail.com.
If you want his collection of his poems, he has, you email it to you. Alright, thank you so much guys, and I'll see you on the next episode of Radical Perspectives. Bye.
Bye.